When you hear this story, believe me, you won't be able to take your eyes off the screen because I'm about to share a secret that turned my life upside down. When you hear what happened to me, you will be stunned. My name is Olivia. I'm 36 years old, and I've been married to my lifelong love, Daniel, for 12 years. Our marriage has always been full of passion and excitement. We travel together, explore new places, and seize every opportunity to express our love for each other. On the outside, everything seems perfect. But life sometimes leads us down unexpected paths. It all started when Daniel's 22-year-old stepson, Liam, whom he had with his first wife, moved in with us. When Daniel said Liam would stay with us for a few months, I didn't object. What could be better than strengthening family bonds? But from the moment Liam arrived, I began to feel an indescribable unease inside. Liam was different in every way, confident, energetic, and charming, with the ability to attract people. One day, while we were at the dinner table, he said to me, "Olivia, I haven't met anyone in a long time who's as energetic as you are." It could have just been a compliment, but the way he looked at me made me feel like he was saying much more. At first, I didn't take it seriously, but as I spent more time alone with Liam, my unease turned into a strange attraction. What would this attraction lead to? I kept telling myself it was wrong, but sometimes our hearts make our minds silent, don't they? If you're eager to know how this story ends, don't leave the screen, because what I'm about to share will make everyone watching question everything. It's been a few weeks since Liam moved in, and during this time, I've had many opportunities to talk with him one-on-one. Daniel is often on business trips, and I'm left alone with Liam at home. At first, everything seemed innocent. We would talk about books, movies, and dreams, but after a while, these conversations began to carry a different energy. One day, it was very hot, and I was sitting in the backyard, drinking lemonade and reading a book. Liam came over and said, "This house is so peaceful. Olivia, you've created such a happy place. It's truly admirable." His words were innocent, but there was something in his tone that made me feel he wanted me not only to understand what he was saying but also to understand how he was feeling. "Thank you, Liam," I said with a smile, but inside, there was a strange unease. No one had ever looked at me like that before, at least, no one except Daniel. After that day, our conversations started to last longer. Once, he shared a deeper secret about his life, saying, "My relationship with my dad has never been easy." One night, when we were sitting in the living room, I realized, having someone like you in his life makes me feel like he's a lucky person. When I heard those words, I paused. Was there a hidden meaning behind them? One evening, while having dinner, Daniel was at home, and we were happily chatting, but I kept noticing that Liam was looking at me. Daniel didn't seem to notice, but Liam's gaze was strange. It didn't make me uncomfortable, but in a strange way, it attracted me. The next day, while I was making coffee in the kitchen, Liam quietly walked in and said, "Olivia, I need to confess something." My heart began to race. I was both curious and scared about what he was going to say. The next morning, when I was making coffee, Liam found me in the kitchen. He quietly walked in, paused for a moment, and stared at the floor before saying, "Olivia, I need to confess something." I put the coffee cup on the counter and turned toward him. My heart was racing as I asked, "What's going on?" After a silence, he took a deep breath and said, "From the moment I first saw you, I couldn't control my feelings for you. I know it's wrong, but no matter how hard I try, I can't get rid of these feelings." His words echoed in my mind, as if time had stopped. I didn't know what to say in that moment. His eyes were both brave and fearful. I was stunned by these emotions, but at the same time, a confusing feeling grew inside me. Finally, I said, my voice trembling, "Do you know what your words really mean?" Liam took a step closer to me and said, "Yes, I know." I realized that by saying this, I'm risking everything, but I can't hold back my feelings anymore. "I just want you to know that I don't expect you to judge me." That moment, I felt like I couldn't even breathe. The courage of this young man, who openly expressed his feelings, took me by surprise. I could ignore what he said. I could pretend I didn't hear it, but could I? After Liam's confession, there was a period of silence in the kitchen. The confusion inside me grew stronger, and I felt like my emotions were trapping me. What should I say? Or what should I feel? His boldness shocked me. "Liam," I finally said, taking a deep breath, "this is wrong for both of us. Your father, Daniel." My words hung in the air. Liam took another step forward. "Olivia, I know it's wrong, but sometimes feelings defy logic, don't they? I never want to hurt you. I just feel like I can't deal with these feelings on my own. Hearing this, I swallowed hard. He was so close to me that I could even feel his breath. It made me uncomfortable. But strangely, that discomfort turned into something else. I briefly turned my gaze away. But even then, the tension didn't ease. The emotional burden between us began to affect our daily lives. Whenever Liam had the chance, he tried to get closer to me. When we sat at the table, our hands would accidentally touch. When we worked side by side in the kitchen, there would be a fleeting glance. These moments were innocent, but they carried a confusing energy. One evening, Daniel was out of town, and Liam was helping me in the kitchen. He struggled to open a bottle of wine, and when it slipped from his hands, we both laughed. I guess I'm a little out of practice, he said with a smile. In that moment, the distance between us unknowingly shortened. Standing so close, I felt like I was struggling to control my emotions. Liam, we shouldn't be this close, I said, my voice trembling. But he didn't step back. He just looked at me. As long as you don't ask anything, I won't do anything, he said. I'm just trying to understand the emotions in your eyes. I knew I had to pull myself together. This conversation had to end. This needs to stop now, I said firmly. But deep down, I knew maintaining this distance wouldn't be as easy as I thought. After spending time with Liam, I forced myself to distance from him. I tried to always find an excuse to stay busy at home, avoiding being alone with him. But sometimes, life ignores your plans. One evening, when Daniel was once again away, there was a storm. The sky was lit by lightning. Liam was in the living room watching a movie. As I passed by, he asked, Olivia, do you want to watch with me? It's a movie my dad also likes. Refusing seemed to pull me away from our usual family activities, so I reluctantly sat next to him. The movie continued, and the atmosphere was light. Liam picked a comedy, and we laughed a lot. But once, when my arm brushed against his, I instinctively pulled away. He laughed and said, Don't worry, Olivia, I just want to watch the movie. His words were innocent, but the tone clearly indicated that the movie was nearly over, and it was getting late. Liam asked, Do you want me to make you some tea? A cup of hot tea would feel good on a night like this. I nodded in agreement. When the tea was ready, we sat side by side in the kitchen. Lightning lit up the outside, and the silence between us felt more meaningful than usual. After a while, Liam spoke up. Are you mad at me? His question surprised me. Why would I be mad? I asked. He stared at the tea in his cup. Sometimes, I feel like my feelings might disturb you, but believe me, I never want to be a burden to you. No, Liam, I whispered. I need to be honest with you. The situation between us is becoming more and more complicated for both of us. But there has to be a limit. This bond shouldn't go any further. Liam silently nodded. You're right, Olivia. But I can't stop feeling this way. In that moment, we locked eyes, both knowing where this bond would lead, but also knowing it was both wrong and impossible. The bond between Liam and me kept growing stronger. The more I tried to suppress it, the more his presence, though sometimes unsettling, brought new color to my monotonous life. I kept questioning these feelings. I loved Daniel, and I was happy with him. But as Liam entered our lives, a forgotten excitement deep inside me resurfaced. Ultimately, I decided this situation couldn't continue. No matter how strong the attraction, it had no future. It would hurt Liam and our family. I had to set my boundaries and protect them. One night, when Daniel was out of town, I decided to talk to Liam. He was sitting in the backyard, staring at the stars. I sat next to him, took a deep breath, and began to speak. Liam, I know we can't ignore what's between us, but this bond, no matter how innocent it seems, is heading in the wrong direction. I don't want to hurt you or Daniel. Liam lowered his head, sadness in his eyes. You're right, Olivia. I'm not ashamed of my feelings, but I can't let them drag us into more chaos. A silence followed, and finally, Liam took a deep breath. I think it's best to distance ourselves for now. I'll see my dad. Knowing you care about me really means a lot to me, but I can't stay here with these feelings anymore. His words comforted me but also made me sad. His leaving seemed like the right way to resolve this mess. But at the same time, losing the energy he brought into my life would leave me feeling empty inside. The next morning, Liam packed his things. When I saw him off at the door, he looked at me one last time. Do you regret meeting me? He asked. No, Liam, I said, but I'm glad we did the right thing. Liam nodded and got into his car. As I watched him leave for the last time, I felt a complex sense of calm inside me. This was one of the strangest and most difficult experiences of my life, but I truly believed I had made the right decision. When Daniel came home, everything continued as if nothing had changed. But something within me had shifted. The emotional storm I had gone through with Liam made me reassess my life and my boundaries. Now, I am certain of one thing. A happy life is built on honesty and making the right choices. The relationship between Liam and I grew closer. The more I tried to suppress these feelings, the more I realized that, although his presence was sometimes unsettling, it brought new colors to my otherwise monotonous life. I kept questioning these feelings. I love Daniel, and I am happy with him. But with Liam entering our lives, a forgotten excitement was awakened inside me. In the end, I decided that this situation couldn't continue. No matter how strong the attraction, it had no future. It would hurt Liam and our families. I had to set my boundaries and protect them. One evening, when Daniel was not home, I decided to talk to Liam. He was sitting in the backyard, staring at the stars. I sat beside him, took a deep breath, and began to speak. I knew we couldn't ignore the relationship between us. But this bond, no matter how innocent it seemed, was heading in the wrong direction. I don't want to hurt you or Daniel. Liam lowered his head, sadness in his eyes. You're right, Olivia. I'm not ashamed of my feelings, but I can't let them drag us into greater chaos. There was a moment of silence. Finally, Liam took a deep breath. I think it's best if I keep some distance from you for a while. I'll visit my dad. You really matter to me. But I can't stay here with these feelings. His words comforted me and saddened me at the same time. It seemed like the right solution for him to leave, but at the same time, losing the energy he brought into my life would leave me feeling empty. The next morning, Liam packed his things. When I saw him off at the door, he looked at me one last time. Do you regret meeting me? He asked. No, Liam, I said, but I'm glad we did the right thing. Liam nodded and got into his car. As I watched him leave for the last time, I felt a complex sense of calm inside me. This was one of the strangest and most difficult experiences of my life, but I truly believed I had made the right decision. When Daniel came home, everything continued as if nothing had changed, but something inside me had shifted. The emotional storm I went through with Liam made me reassess my life and my boundaries. Now, I am certain of one thing. A happy life is built on honesty and making the right choices.